Of a Rockford abortion clinic is in limbo. Illinois' 4th District Appellate Court upholds a zoning challenge. In 2022, the building at 611 Auburn Street was bought by a Wisconsin doctor to use as an abortion clinic. An appeal was filed by the Rockford Family Initiative and neighbors, claiming the operation of the clinic under a special use permit violated several ordinances, but the court affirmed the zoning board on judicial review. Ultimately, the clinic opened. Another appeal was filed in March of 2024. Now, the Illinois 4th District Appellate Court overturned the decision, finding the Rockford Zoning Board made an error when it issued the special use permit for the abortion clinic. The city of Rockford shares a statement on the decision, saying they are aware that Kevin Rylott and the Rockford Family Initiative did not have standing to challenge the zoning for the clinic. They are also aware the plaintiffs, Sean and Lisa Rylott, who are neighbors to the clinic, do have the necessary standing. The clinic can stay open pending a public hearing. If you want to read more about the legal history of the abortion clinic, go to wifr.com.